Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jim Roberts. I am your musical host for tonight, and this is the 39th annual Mayor's Dinner for the city of Newport Beach. We're so glad you're here, and of course, it's presented by Speak Up Newport. Thank you so much. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to our Master of Ceremonies tonight, Newport Beach resident, Michelle Geely.
Thank you all, and thank you, Jim. When I received this invitation, I was thrilled, and I am really overjoyed to be here with you tonight as your MC and also as your hometown girl. And now, please rise and join me in the Invocation by Rabbi Reuven Mintz from the Shabbat Center for Jewish Life, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Newport Beach Fire Chief Jeff Boyles, with the assistance of the Newport Beach Police Department Color Guard.
Good evening, Mayor O'Neill, honored past mayors of Newport Beach, members of the Board of Directors of Speak Up Newport, ladies and gentlemen. Before I ask you to join me in an opening prayer for this evening's inspiring ceremonies and festivities, I'd like to offer some brief words in commendation and congratulations to our current esteemed mayor, as well as all of tonight's distinguished honorees, the past mayors of our beloved city. This in my capacity as a proud citizen and spiritual leader residing and presiding in this beautiful city for the past 18 years. It is from this vantage point that I have found the city of Newport Beach to exemplify the finest attributes and ideals to which I believe every great American city ought to aspire. A welcoming spirit of diversity, inclusivity, liberty, and individuality. An appreciation for family and community, a premium placed upon the education of our children, and the inculcation, which is a sense of value, a high regard for law and order, and an unstinting commitment to all aspects of efficient governance that provide for a clean, comfortable, serene, tranquil, and joyful state of existence for all in citizenry. With that, I offer the following invocation. Eternal God, you enlighten our lives by empowering us to do your work here on earth in creating a world of liberty, justice, peace, and kindness for all. We pray for the city of Newport Beach that it may forever be a beacon of freedom, human rights, economic opportunity, and prosperity. Protector of mankind, may your name be invoked only to inspire and unify our city, but never to divide it. We ask that you place your blessings upon the dedicated mayor, city council, and all those that serve our city, that they have wisdom and strength to work together for our common good. These things we ask of you, eternal God, committed that the torch of liberty shall pass from hand to hand, from heart to heart, until the radiance of peace and righteousness shines for all of God's children from one end of the earth to the other. Amen. Thank you.
Please remain standing during the posting of the colors by the Newport Beach Police Department. Now I ask that you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our great nation. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Again, welcome everyone to the 39th Annual Mayor's Dinner, an annual recognition of past mayors and State of the City address by incoming 2020 Mayor Will O'Neill. This is my first time volunteering as your MC, and it really is a big honor. This is the largest mayor's dinner ever. We have sold 535 tickets. You can applause. So now let's introduce our dignitaries, and please hold your applause until the end. California State Senator, the Honorable John Morlock. Orange County Supervisor District 2, the Honorable Michelle Steele. Orange County Sheriff Don Barnes. Orange County Assessor Claude Parrish. Newport Beach Mayor, the Honorable Will O'Neill. Newport Beach Mayor Pro Tem, the Honorable Brad Avery. Newport Beach Council Member, the Honorable Joy Brenner. Newport Beach Council Member, the Honorable Diane Dixon. Newport Beach Council Member, the Honorable Marshall Duffield. Newport Beach Council Member, the Honorable Jeff Herdman. Newport Beach Council Member, the Honorable Kevin Muldoon. Newport Beach former Council Member, the Honorable Tony Petros. Newport Beach former Council Member, the Honorable Jean Watt. Newport Beach former mayors, the Honorable Nancy Gardner, Evelyn Hart, Rush Hill, John Noyes, Todd Ridgway, Steve Rosansky, Ed Selich, Clarence Turner, and Don Webb. We also have with us tonight Costa Mesa Mayor, the Honorable Katrina Foley, as well as our Newport Beach Police Chief, John Lewis, Fire Chief, Jeff Boyles, and our Newport Beach City Manager, Grace Leon. A round of applause for all of our dignitaries. And I'd now like to introduce the co-chairs for this evening's event, Deborah Allen and Kathy Harrison. These ladies have worked very hard for months in advance of this evening's dinner to ensure that we all have a pleasurable evening. Deborah and Kathy, stand again, please, to be recognized. And the Speak Up Newport Board of Directors would like to recognize and show their appreciation to the underwriters of this evening's event being shown up on the screen. Now, without the underwriters' support, this dinner could not be the quality event that it is. Underwriting a table shows support for Speak Up Newport and all of the Newport Beach community. A portion of each underwriter's registration goes to the Speak Up Newport Scholarship Foundation, more of which you will hear about in a few moments. The board extends their grateful thanks. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to you three-time mayor and current Sun President, Ed Selich.
Thank you, Michelle. Well, welcome everyone to the 39th Annual Newport Beach Mayor's Dinner. The Mayor's Dinner is an annual celebration of the great city government that we have. We have state, county officials, current city council members, former council members, city staff, including the city manager and our first responders, and staff from our various city departments, former mayors, interested residents, and business people, and of course the star of the evening, our new mayor, Will O'Neill. So I've got a little bit of trivia here this evening for you. A few little mayor factoids. 39 years ago, 1981, was the first mayor's dinner. Does anyone remember who the mayor was in 1981? I don't expect the younger people to remember, but does anyone else? It wasn't me. Nice try. No, it was Jackie Heather. Jackie Heather. All right, so Newport Beach is 114 years old. Does anyone know how many mayors the city has had over the 114 years? Anybody have a guess? 60. 60 mayors in 114 years. Do you know how many past mayors are still alive out of that 60? All right, I didn't think you would. It's 22, and out of the 22, we have 13 in attendance this evening. All right, here's one for you. Do you know, now pay attention, do you know which mayor served on the city council the longest? That's one. Wasn't me. Evelyn Hart. Yes, Evelyn. And then also, as Bus pointed out, John Cox also served. Both of those people were on the city council for 16 years. Wow. All right, well, that's it for Mayor's Trivia for this year. In addition to the incoming Mayor's State of the City address, this evening recognizes former mayors. I'm not sure how many of you realize how much work goes into being a mayor. Your workload as a council member doubles. You have staff meetings, additional committee meetings, civic events, all taking a great deal of time. And I am always amused when I see a newspaper article that says, so-and-so was elected to the ceremonial city or mayor's post by the rest of the city council. Well, anybody who has done this job knows that that's incorrect. While there are a lot of ceremonial functions to perform, the incoming mayor has great influence in setting the city's agenda for the incoming year. Also, the mayor, she presides over the city council meetings. They have great influence on how the meeting is conducted and its outcome. So it is much more than a ceremonial position, and we should be grateful to all those past mayors in attendance this evening for the service they've given our community. All right, now I'd like to introduce the Speak Up Newport Board of Directors. Please hold your applause till the end as I introduce each director. First, we have our Vice President, Jeff Boyles. Secretary, Hugh Logan. Treasurer, Marie Marston. And then our board members, Deborah Allen, Diane Dixon, Robin Grant, Kathy Harrison, Rush Hill, Richard Lewis, Joe Stapleton, Rhonda Watkins, and Kay Walker. Let's give them a round of applause. Also, we have 9 honorary directors whose names are shown on the screen here. Now, unfortunately, we lost one of our former mayors in 2019, John Cox. John was mayor in 1986-88, and he served on the city council from 1980 to 1996. He was a community leader for many years, and here to say a few words in his remembrance is former Mayor Bus Turner.
Thank you, Ed. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As Ed just said, John Cox, we lost John Cox last year, and so forth. And tonight it is my honor to remember John. It's a very monumental task because when you consider the magnitude of his legacy, it's pretty hard to sum it up in just 2 or 3 minutes, but I'll give it a try. John was a Nebraska kid. That is where he grew up, and that is where, as the son of a big band musician, he fell in love with music. It was a lifetime affair, one that became the formation of a pay-for-hire combo he created in college. But it did not end in college. In fact, when he moved to Corona del Mar, he played at a bar called the Drift Room, excuse me. That sounds like a pretty good gig to me. What a great way to start a career. And he played for fun and got paid for it. Music was his passion, one of his escapes. A combination of his music, photography, and travel complemented what everyone knows he had a lot of creativity. In later life, with camera on his back, he escaped to Italy, not for days, but for extended stays. Italy to John was more than just a second home. He loved the place, but who wouldn't? So do I. I love it, and why not? If you like history, culture, good wine, opera, art, weather, and a friendly, laid-back people, think Italy. It is no mystery to me why John considered Italy his secret garden. But John had another garden, and that garden was Newport Beach. It was here that he displayed his creative talent as a partner in the firm of Cox and Birch in a field of commercial advertising. He had a very unique knack and reputation for being a visionary. That attribute enabled him to literally look over the wall and know what was on the other side of the wall, while the rest of us were trying to figure out what it was all about. As a council member, he represented our city on the County-wide Transportation Corridor Agency, the agency responsible for the toll roads. At the time, they were cutting-edge technology for Orange County, and yes, of course, they were controversial. There was considerable opposition with legitimate concerns about the wisdom of deserting the traditional freeways in favor of a tollway system. But John and his colleagues had the vision to appreciate what those toll roads could do to alleviate traffic congestion. And I guess you have to think, why don't we have more people with vision today? When I think of those 8 years that I served on the council with John, I remember him being solid as a rock. I knew his political philosophy. He knew his political philosophy. He suffered no fools. He knew the issues. He knew himself. He never buckled before supporters or non-supporters. What you saw is what you got. One cannot ask any more from someone than that. To state that John will be missed is an understatement. Thus, I will leave it just at that. Thank you, John, for sharing your life of inspiration with those of us you left behind in this beautiful city of Newport Beach that you once called your home. Thank you.
All right, now, at your table, you're going to find a green envelope that looks like this. And in it are numbers from 1 to 10. And the purpose is to raise money for our scholarship fund. And the idea is you make a donation and take a number. And after the State of the City address, Senator John Morlock will draw a number, and the holder of the corresponding number gets to take home the table centerpiece. If the tables of 12 or 11, if the winning number is duplicated, we'll let you figure it out. You can arm wrestle, flip a coin, but someone will walk away with it. Now, each year, Speak Up Newport awards scholarships to Corona del Mar and Newport Harbor High School seniors. In 2019, we awarded 4 $3,000 scholarships. From Corona del Mar, we have Gianna Finier. She's going to Brown University, and Keva Modali going to Monmouth University. From Newport Harbor High School, we have Maddie Vargas going to UC Berkeley, and Emily Reynoso going to the University of Utah. Now, going to college these days is an extremely expensive proposition, with many students taking on an enormous amount of debt. It's a national problem, that needs to be solved. And while our scholarship is modest by some standards, it becomes an important part of the selected students' plan to finance their education. And here is a short video from 2016 scholarship winner Henry Lyons from Newport Harbor High School.
Hello, my name is Henry Lyons, and I was the recipient of the Speak Up Newport Scholarship. Speak Up Newport is a phenomenal organization, and I owe them a lot for helping me out in my time in college. This scholarship was a massive help in trying to get me through my coursework and just get me to where I need to go in life. I've spent the last 4 years studying political science and history at Southern Methodist University, and I feel like my overall knowledge of the course source material is just expanded massively because of this opportunity that Speak Up Newport has helped provide for. I was also able to get into my university's Oxford program, where for 2 months over the course of the summer, I studied at University College at Oxford in the United Kingdom. It was a fantastic time and also really helped develop me as a person academically and in terms of my character as well. And all of this has led to what I'm currently doing right now, which is I am currently working for the State Department. I am working there for my last semester of college, and I am working as an intern at the Foreign Service Institute, where I will be helping to work with educators and Foreign Service officers and Foreign Service officers trainees with basically providing educational material and assistance to them in the field, and it is just fantastic, as this is just a perfect place to start a wonderful career, and I owe Speak Up Newport a lot for this. Thank you.
Now, for the last few years, we've had a competition going on for which trade contributes the most. Spinnaker Investments won in 2018. Yeah. Guess who won last year in 2019? Spinnaker. So folks, the challenge this year is to beat Spinnaker. Let's see what you can do. We can't let Spinnaker have a three-peat. So here I have our 2018 scholarship winner from Corona Del Mar High School, Ryan Murphy, who's going to say a few words. Ryan?
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Ryan Murphy, and I am last year's recipient of the prestigious Speak Up Newport Scholarship Award. I am currently in my second year as a pre-med student at UCLA with a minor in biomedical research. Receiving the Speak Up Newport Scholarship Award has helped me pay for my tuition and housing, allowing me to focus on academics and extracurriculars, such as working as a health scholar at Hoag Hospital in Newport Beach. Since my goal is to attend medical school and become a physician, I have spent the past 3 years learning what it takes to succeed in the medical field as a health scholar at Hoag. I was just recently recognized for my years of commitment, dedication, and successful completion of the Health Scholar program. I grew up in Newport Beach, where my community has always provided me so much. Without a doubt, receiving the Speak Up Newport Scholarship Award has improved my experience at UCLA and has motivated me to continue my ultimate goal of becoming a physician at Hoag Hospital and giving back to my amazing community. So on behalf of all the Scholarship Award recipients, thank you, Speak Up Newport.
Thank you, Ryan. And now, Michelle, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, thanks, Ed. All right, thank you. Go UCLA. My first 2 years were there. Last 3 at SC. Okay. What I do know is that the scholarship, like the one that Ryan received, means so much to these hardworking students. I have a daughter who left California. She's a freshman at University of Washington, and she worked so very hard at CDM. And so these kids are so deserving of this, so we appreciate anything that you are putting there in the envelope. Please be generous with your donations. Now, I want all of you to enjoy your dinner. I know you have so much catching up to do. I can tell that the minute we stop talking, you guys chitter-chatter away, and I hear that that's what this night is all about. So I'm gonna come around to every table and tell me a secret. Enjoy your dinner, and we will be back in about 50 minutes to continue the program. Until then, pour yourselves a glass of wine and enjoy the meal.
Mr. Rosansky?
Yes, Don Webb, former mayor.
Do you appreciate me being the only one here that appointed you?
You did appoint me.
That's right.
After I told you I wasn't going to put lights up at Mariners Park. How about that?
That was great.
That was great.
We appreciate that.
So, the question of the day is, what is your favorite spot in Newport Beach? And Don has seen every spot in Newport Beach because he's walked every street at least, 4 or 5 times?
5 times.
5 times. Okay, so what's your favorite spot in Newport Beach?
The bench on the little hillock on Castaways Park.
The bench at Castaways Park. Is that like near the statue, or is this?
Yes, it's right
next to the statue. Okay.
It allows you to look out and see about a 270-degree view of the city.
Okay, there
It's
you have it,
gorgeous.
folks. The bench at Castaways Park.
I don't think that's a great question. Thank you. And there's too many of them really to start mentioning, like just Newport itself is so beautiful and so special. I never want to leave. You can't kick me out no matter what I do. And I think being out in the boat maybe, because you get away from everything and you just see that beautiful water in the harbor, go out of that jetty and turn around and come back in. It's like an attitude adjustment is exactly what it is. So thanks for that question. It was a good one.
My favorite spot in Newport Beach, I live on the peninsula, I live on the boardwalk, and that's my favorite spot between the 2 piers. Absolutely love it. Thank you.
I think my favorite spot in Newport Beach has got to be Marina Park. It's our newest park, and it rapidly jumped to our most popular, and it's really used well and well as it was designed. So I'm pretty pleased and pretty proud of that.
My favorite spot, oh my gosh, how do you choose? So many. Marina Park, anywhere along the beach, anywhere along the ocean. But then I love the harbor and the bay. There is no favorite spot. I love everything in Newport Beach. It's a beautiful city. It's heaven on earth, and it's beautiful. I don't have a favorite. It's all my favorite.
Well, my favorite spot in Newport Beach is taking the ferry back and forth across from Balboa Island to the peninsula. Always enjoy doing that, particularly on Sunday mornings when I take one of my cars over to the Balboa Car Show.
One of my favorite places is Crystal Cove State Beach. Just getting down there, Shake Shack, seeing all of the cottages. It's one of my favorite places in Newport.
I think my favorite spot in Newport Beach, well, actually there are several of them, but I sure love the golf courses up in Pelican, including the restaurants and so forth that are up there as well.
Well, I really enjoyed the new Oasis Center. I was around when we got it built, and the concerts on the green at the new Civic Center I think are one of the great treasures of our city, and I encourage everybody this next season coming up to get out and enjoy a show on the Civic Green.
One of my favorite spots, that's easy. It's Little Corona because it's the beach I grew up on. It's where I learned to body surf. We used to hang out there all summer, every day. I have so many fond memories, so many friends from there, so many old friends. So yes, that would be probably my very first spot, Little Corona.
So anyway, my favorite spot in Newport Beach is pretty obvious. Being a boater, it's the harbor. So that's where I grew up 68 years ago on this harbor. So there's no question that is my favorite place.
My favorite spot in Newport Beach has got to be by far the beach at 61st Street. Before I die and go to heaven, I want to just have my wife set me up in the chair there, and I'm just going to slowly nod off like I do every Saturday and Sunday during the summer.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your Master of Ceremonies, Michelle Geely.
I have a name tag on now, and I must apologize. This says Keith Curry. There is a gentleman that I neglected to mention earlier, so I took this name tag to remember. Keith, sorry about that. He is here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, now it is time for the annual class photo of our former mayors in attendance, as well as the incoming mayor. I will introduce each in the order of seniority and ask them to please take their place on the stage. Evelyn Hart, 1984. Clarence Bus Turner, 1993 and 1994. John Noyes, 2000. Todd Ridgway, 2002 and 2004. Don Webb, 2006. Steve Rosansky, 2007. Ed Selich, 2008, 2009, and 2015. Keith Curry, come get your name tag, 2010 and 2013. Nancy Gardner, 2012. Rush Hill, 2014. Diane Dixon, 2016 and 2019. Kevin Muldoon, 2017. Marshall Duffield, 2018. And ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for your mayor, Will O'Neill. Are you all here? Smile. Let's see your beautiful pearly whites. Before I introduce our new mayor, Will O'Neill, I wanted to direct your attention to the mayor's table here. Jenny, Will's wife, his dashing son, Sean, and his beautiful little girl, Aubrey, who is a Newport Coast student. So we wanted to say hello to the O'Neill family and mothers-in-law and fathers-in-laws and moms and dads. Now, ladies and gentlemen, your Newport Beach Mayor, Will O'Neill.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Michelle. You've done a fantastic job tonight, so thank you very much. I was thinking right before this, I've had 2 years to prepare this speech. It better be good. So, in 1940, my grandmother started law school at UC Berkeley. She was one of 3 women in her class. She was actually told by a professor that she shouldn't be there because she was taking the spot of a man who would be supporting his family. Fortunately, she stayed and met my grandfather. And when World War II was imminent, she actually gave up some of her spots in classes for men who were about to go to fight. By the time 3rd year rolled around, so many of her classmates and so many of the professors were gone fighting, but they didn't have enough classes offered for her to graduate. So instead, she married my grandfather, had 5 children, lost my grandfather when my father was 17 years old, went back to law school, graduated, and helped write portions of the California Family Law Code. Her legacy lives on through my daughter Aubrey, whose middle name is Elizabeth. See, we stand on the shoulders of giants. We're here tonight to honor the legacies of leadership, of people who came before, who faced the challenges of their day with their best efforts. And just like my relationship with my grandmother, we're all better people when we remember our history. We in Newport Beach can find the best of ourselves intertwined with the stories of rogues and characters and true heroes of our past. And to paraphrase Walter Cronkite just a little bit, I'd say we should always honor our history, but we can't live in it. And so tonight, let's talk a little bit about our past, talk about that unique place we hold right now in Newport Beach's history, and discuss where we go from here. Now, a few thanks are in order. First, thank you to our host, Speak Up Newport, and the Marriott. Thank you all. Yep. Thank you to our city manager, Grace Leung, our city attorney, Aaron Harp, and our city clerk, Leilani Brown. As the only three people who actually directly report to 7 elected council members, you're all saints. Thank you especially to the 2 people without whom I certainly wouldn't be here tonight, my parents. My dad retired 1 week ago after a 40-year career as a police officer, a lawyer, state court judge, and most recently the chief judge of the Eastern District of California. My mom, when I was growing up, was the president of the YWCA. She made sure that women and children in domestic violence situations were safe and sheltered. My parents have a shared legacy of service that my sister Erin and I are proud to inherit. And of course, up there you see my wife, Jenny. She's the love of my life, and she's my best friend. And I just want to say thank you for all the support that you've given our family throughout the last 3 years and beyond. I wouldn't be able to do this year without you. I can tell you right now that tonight is as much about the spouses of past mayors as it is about the past mayors themselves. So I just want to say to all of you that are in the audience as well tonight, thank you. Thank you for your service as well. Last but not least, I'd like to thank my fellow city council members for this honor. It is a real pleasure to serve with each and every one of you. Now, we do have quite a bit of history actually on our council alone. We have 3 council members who graduated from Newport Harbor High School, Corona Del Mar High School, and thanks to our public library system, I have 2 of their yearbooks. So here is eventual Newport Harbor Hall of Famer Duffy Duffield. As part of the first graduating class at Corona Del Mar High School, Joy Brenner. All right, now a lot has been made about my age, and I've always looked a little older than I really am. So it's fair if you want to see my yearbook. I'm guessing some folks would like to see that one. All right. So that was me. I don't know. I feel like I've aged pretty well. I don't know why everyone's laughing. So, on behalf of those city council members, as well as Mayor Pro Tem Brad Avery and council members Diane Dixon, Kevin Muldoon, and Jeff Herdman, I am proud to say that the state of our city is strong, united, and blessed. Our city is strong because that wasn't an applause line, but okay. Thank you. Our city is strong because our fundamentals are strong and they're poised to get stronger. When I think about the term fundamentals within city government, I think about a quote from former House Speaker Tip O'Neill, no relation, who said, "A politician learns that if a constituent calls about a problem, even if it's a street light, you don't tell them to call City Hall, you call City Hall." And I'll tell you, I know that our staff has learned that, and we're all better for it. Our police department, led by Police Chief John Lewis, saw Part 1, serious crime, drop 14.6% last year and 5.6% up on arrests. Detectives rather incredibly solved the cold case murder of Linda O'Keefe last year, and they also used innovative policing techniques by creating an international podcast that ended up leading to the capture of fugitive Peter Chadwick, who had been on the run for 4 years for the murder of his wife in Newport Beach. I'd also like to take a moment and thank Sheriff Don Barnes, who's here tonight, for all the work that the Orange County Sheriff's Department does within our borders. I can tell you that Chief Lewis and Sheriff Barnes are close, both personally and professionally, and we're all the better for it. So thank you very much, Sheriff Barnes. Our fire department, led by new Chief Jeff Boyles, has been staggeringly good when it comes to cardiac events. In fact, the save rate within Newport Beach is 4 times the Orange County average. Last year, we opened up the Corona Del Mar branch fire station and library. That has been a welcome addition for our firefighters, I know that. And then the new library has been airy and extraordinarily kid-friendly, which Jenny and I very much appreciate. And then within our fire department, we have our lifeguards. Last year, we remembered the 5th memorial anniversary of Ben Carlson. And in fact, forevermore, July 6th will be known in Newport Beach as Ben Carlson Day. And in the coming year, we will see increased wildland fire safety through both fire code adoption, new training for our firefighters, and better equipment. And I'm really excited about that. We should also be finishing the designs of both the Lido Fire Station and new Junior Guard building in the coming year. In Public Works, led by Dave Webb, they embody an old Greek proverb that says, "Society grows great when old leaders plant trees, whose shade they know they shall never sit in." Over the past couple of years, Public Works has overseen capital projects, and I'm gonna have to read these because there's so many. Mariners Fire Station Apparatus Bay, the Balboa Island seawall cap, the Park Avenue Bridge replacement, the Newport Elementary playfield reconstruction, the Grand Canal dredging, Bayside Drive's rehabilitation, and we've already mentioned the Corona Del Mar Fire Station and Library. They have been busy. We have increased cleaning services, moved to a 2-year trimming cycle on the street trees, and we've also dramatically increased the amount of trees that we have replanted annually. We continue forward toward projects like the bridge across Superior, beautifying street medians throughout our city, and improving water quality across our harbor. Our public library, led by Tim Heatherton, continues the legacy described by Andrew Carnegie as creating palaces for the people. Our libraries have increased program attendance 142% since 2009, and no doubt that will go up with the new Corona Del Mar station. And in July 2020, the Newport Beach Public Library will go live with a new integrated library system. The new software will improve library workflow as well as staff efficiency, and will have great features like auto renewal, which will be fantastic for our family. We will no longer have late fees. Our relatively new harbor department, led by Kurt Borstein, is making great strides to modernize one of the largest recreational boat harbors west of the Mississippi. With the exception of 2 holiday closures, the harbor department was staffed every day of the past 12 months, providing uninterrupted community service both in the harbor and in the office. 2 new patrol boats have been purchased for the harbor department, now outfitted and in service. We're also going to see the modernization of Title 17 to incorporate all the myriad uses of a modern harbor. And I just want to say real briefly, thank you to our harbor department for all of the work that they have done on Title 17. They, in fact, have done such a good job. We'll be considering adding them into our charter as a permanent body consistent with the Planning Commission, Parks, Beaches, and Recreation Commission, the Arts Commission, and the Civil Service Board. And I look forward, no, I got it, yep. Board of Library Trustees, I missed that one, yep. So we're going to make sure that we have a harbor department commensurate with all of those inside the charter. In our finance department, led by Dan Matuszewicz, they've ensured that our reserves are fully funded, our debt and pension liabilities are being paid, and that we have surpluses that can be used every year toward pension paydown and infrastructure improvement. Thanks to good fiscal stewardship, we remain one of only a handful of cities in the entire state with AAA rating from all 3 credit rating agencies. And thanks to approaches that have been put in place over the last 6 years, we were one of only 2 cities in our county this past year that actually saw our unfunded valuation increase. And we are only one of 4 cities in the entire county to actually show a decrease in our unfunded pension liability going through 2020. That is something we should all be proud of. So Thomas Sowell once said, the first lesson of economics is scarcity. There is never enough to satisfy all those who want it. The first lesson of politics is to disregard the first lesson of economics. Yeah. I'll say I'm really proud to be serving with a council that actually follows that first rule of economics. Our Recreation and Senior Services Department, led by Laura Detweiler, started and then greatly expanded programs for families with special needs this past year. This programming now includes dance, horseback riding, gymnastics, sports, and friendship. We also added inclusive playground equipment in Coastal Peak Park in Newport Coast, and we're designing the same for Grant Howell Park, which will begin construction this fall. We also have expanded the Fostering Interest in Nature program, a 4-day, 3-night immersive outdoor program that makes sure that our students are in a natural setting and recognizing that they are the future stewards of all of the resources that Newport Beach can offer. And our upcoming 2020 Vision campaign will focus on fun for families. Our Utilities Department, led by Mark Vukovic, has helped stabilize the water and sewer funds that were headed toward deficit this past year. We were able to replace 80-year-old pipes on Balboa Island. We'll be doing the same thing on Lido Island, and we'll be doing the same thing for 50-year-old pipes in Newport Heights. And this past Christmas, when we had heavy rainstorms, dozens of utility staffers were on Balboa Island making sure that the pumps worked. I think a lot of us, especially while we were opening Christmas presents that morning, not realizing all of the hard work that they were putting in, didn't fully appreciate how important that work is for prevention of both property loss and, frankly, life loss. So to everyone that is part of the Utilities Department who was up that morning helping out, certainly on behalf of Balboa Island residents, I want to say thank you. Our Community Development Department, led by Simone Georges, has been busy and will be busier in the coming years. Over the last few years, annually, they've approved around 3,000 projects per year at a value of $1.3 billion in construction-related investment for the city. 80% of that permitting happened in a 24-hour period. And our city's local coastal plan has reduced the time to permit a coastal development permit by around 50% and has greatly reduced the application fees. And we're going to be discussing their challenges in the coming year in just a moment. Some of you can probably guess what that is. Our HR department, led by Barbara Salvini, launched close to 300 recruitments in the past 2 years, receiving over 17,000 applications. We will continue to streamline HR and risk management using the latest technologies such as electronic onboarding and video interviewing. And given that we're talking about HR, I'd like everyone who works for the city of Newport Beach to stand up and be recognized. To every department head and employee that we have here tonight, thank you. You all remind me of a quote actually from a Super Bowl winning coach named Tony Dungy, who described who he actually wanted on his team. He said, "Success is uncommon and not to be enjoyed by the common person. I'm looking for uncommon people because we want to be successful, not average." Well, to everyone that we just recognized, we are successful because you are not average. The state of our city is also united as we face external challenges, perhaps none more so than the housing dictates imposed on us by the state legislature in Sacramento. Indeed, the changes to traditional modes of housing that people have been accustomed to, that people purchase with an expectation of continuity, that have been bedrocks of our marketplace, have been upended to a point where I can safely say that the by right accessory dwelling unit legislation has gotten rid of the single-family zoning. The state's justification has been a statewide housing emergency, blaming cities for not building enough. That simply has not been the case in our city, despite barriers imposed on us by other government agencies. In the last housing cycle, the state of California, through what they call Regional Housing Needs Assessment, told the city of Newport Beach that we needed to zone for five new housing units. Instead, we approved and saw built 1,712 new housing units during that cycle. We are not a city averse to housing. We are a city averse to being caught in the middle of competing priorities from other government agencies. As a coastal city, there is barely a square inch of of land inside of our city that is not regulated by another government agency. FEMA now requires a row of houses be built on stilts if they're to be rebuilt at all. The California Coastal Commission denied a project on Banning Ranch that would have brought the fence down and instead put up 252 acres of permanent open space and right around 800 housing units. People in Newport Coast are losing fire insurance because new maps show the area as a high-risk fire zone. And the FAA dictates heights and types of buildings that are inside of the airport area. So in a city of 45,000 housing units, where nearly every square inch of our land is regulated by another government agency, we are in theory supposed to find 4,832 new housing units somewhere in our city over the next 8 years. We are fortunate to find unity in response to this dictate, which will track along 3 paths. We're going to push back politically, we're going to push back legally, but we're also going to try to find compliance. And you know what? We need your help. The state of our city is blessed by the overwhelming spirit of generosity that permeates every fiber of our past, our present, and our future. As many of you have seen, we've called 2020 the year of the volunteer. This year we are celebrating people who have planted trees, who have served on our boards, commissions, and committees, who have, in a word, made our city better. People who have taken the time, their talent, their treasure to step up and do the right thing over and over, and we are going to celebrate that over and over and over again this year. As Charles Dickens once said, "No one is useless in this world who lightens the burden of it to anyone else." Be useful, be vigilant, and be stewards of our shared identity of service. So we've now walked through why our city is strong, united, and blessed. And I can tell you that every single person on City Council will tell you that the reasons for that at its core are because the people in our community are strong, united, and blessed. And that was evident 2 weeks ago when we lost 8 members of our community in a sudden, shocking crash. The tragedy of that incident was international news because the world lost a global icon. Here in Newport Beach, we lost fathers and mothers. We lost daughters and sisters. We lost family, and we lost friends. Our hearts continue to ache for the Altabelli, the Bryant, the Chester, and the Mauser families. We have seen the many faces of grief in our city, and we mourn with them all. We've also seen the many faces of love in our city that have brought light to darkness. Tonight, and every day, remember how precious life really is, how precious love is, how precious the time is that we all get to spend with one another. Be the light in this world. That is who we are. That is Newport Beach. And I am proud to be your mayor. Thank you.
I would like to invite the Honorable John Morlock to the stage to draw the numbers for the table centerpieces.
Thank you, Michelle. And thank you for attending the 39th Annual Newport Mayor's Dinner. 39 years ago, my wife and I started our married bliss in this very hotel. So it's great to be back tonight. Thank you, Will, for honoring our spouses. So I'm thinking that I should just limit the numbers to 3 and 9, but I won't do that. But the winning number for the winning number is 9.
Thank you, John. Speak Up Newport would again like to thank Debbie Snavely, the wonderful Debbie Snavely, with the Newport Beach Marriott, Jim Walker and the Bungalow Restaurant, and his beautiful wife, my friend Kay Walker, and of course, all of our underwriters. Thank you for coming, and be sure to join us next year, folks. It will be the 40th Annual Mayor's Dinner. Have a beautiful evening. Good night.